EPARM 2025. And well, this gorgeous large hall somehow calls for something pompous and festive, but this is a very, very informal pre-conference introductory session just to get to know each other and to know what to expect from EPARM. And my name is Lina Navickaite-Martinelli. I'm from Vilnius. This is my colleague Craenen from Royal Conservatory, The Hague, from the Netherlands. We are both members of the EPARM working group, of which you will hear more a bit later. And we are here just to facilitate, especially the newcomers, those of you who are here for the first time, but also whoever wanted to join us here. I can see also some other members of the working group who can correct us if we are mistaken in some information. So welcome to EPARM.
Yes, a warm welcome also on my behalf. Maybe let us start with some words about EPARM, what it is, what it does. EPARM stands for European Platform for Artistic Research in Music. It was founded in 2011 by the AEC, so the European Association of Conservatories, Music Colleges. And at the time, a lot of institutions were starting to implement programs for artistic research, especially at doctoral level, but also at graduate level, master's level. And of course, since then, a lot has changed. So the field has expanded, has matured. New questions also arose, and also the EPARM conferences and the programs testified to these developments in the field and the new questions emerging. Now, the aim of EPARM is, of course, to support the discussions in the network of artistic research and to support these developments and to offer a forum and a network to exchange experiences. And we are addressing both the individual researchers or teachers active in the field in higher music education institutions, but also the institutions themselves. For instance, those wishing to implement a new program for artistic research. And here on the slide is mentioned in the context of third cycle programs. That was definitely the main attention in the early phase, but I would say that especially in the past years we also have paid increasing attention to research integration in education in first and second cycles. And also the roundtable discussion in this conference will be devoted to this topic. But we are also open to individuals curious about the field and wanting to learn more about what artistic research could mean for them.
And the group that works on EPARM is composed of 7 people from a variety of backgrounds. There are some enemies, so to say, musicologists in the group, but also artist researchers, and we are all here to fulfill the aims of EPARM as best as we can. The group is composed according to a variety of criteria, from gender balance to geographical background and institutional background, in order to cover the diversity of the artistic research schools and contexts around the world. So it's not only European, the group. So let me introduce the working group members. Our chair is Stephen Broad from Royal Conservatory of Scotland, Glasgow. We have Vea Lin from MDV, University of Music and Performing Arts, Vienna. We have Matthias Hermann, Hochschule für Musik und Darstellende Kunst, Stuttgart, Germany. We have Anna Maria Bordin, Conservatorio Statale di Musica Giuseppe Verdi di Torino, from Italy. I'm Lina Navickaite-Martinelli from the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theatre in Vilnius. Paul Craenen, Royal Conservatory, The Hague, in the Netherlands. Sean Ferguson comes from Schulich School of Music of McGill University, Montreal, Canada. And of course, we couldn't do without the help of Beatriz Laborda from AC Office team, who is the working group coordinator. So this year we have also slightly different badges, so it's a different color, green, whenever you have some questions or complaints about the EPARM program in particular, you can always address them to us.
Yes, and so what is the work of the EPARM working group then? Our main task is to prepare the annual conference, like this one here in Tallinn. So we have a conference each year in a different European city, hosted by a different institution. And I would say that this is one of the most rewarding and valuable aspects of this format, I would say. You could say that through EPARM we discover Europe in new ways. And I don't mean that only in a, let us say, touristic sense, although that's a nice side effect, that we can indeed visit these beautiful cultural cities throughout Europe, but especially also because each of these institutions add or contribute their own perspective to what it means to be involved with artistic research. And we learn a lot from this, and each year we have a new, we expand our perspective on higher music education and in particular the role of artistic research in this. Now, how do we do this? Or creating the program of the conference, first of all, as you probably know, we have an annual call for proposals. We have seen in the past years a steady increase of the number of applications. Well, actually, this year is the first year that we are stabilizing, I would say, maybe even a little downfall. So last year we had above 100 applications, but I would say from the perspective of the working group, we are not unhappy that we are stabilizing around 100 applications. Also taking into account that the level of these applications is, at least in my impression, and I think it is shared by the working group members, is rising each year, also because of the field becoming more mature. So that makes it a challenging task to make a selection for this conference. And how do we do this? Well, we stick to a fairly straightforward peer review process where each of the working group members makes an assessment of all the proposals, each individual proposal, gives it a score, and all these scores are brought together, and that leads to a ranking. And it is this ranking that we stick to make a selection. There are some exceptions when we, for instance, deviate a lot between assessments, which happens from time to time. Then we have very interesting discussions in the working group to start understanding why we differ in our perspective on certain proposals. And at that moment also more curatorial considerations may come into play to ensure that we, for instance, have a diverse program, a balanced program, and so on. But in general, we stick to a very simple peer review process, you could say. Now, of course, another task of the working group is also to evaluate the conferences after the conference. And for this, we base our adaptations of the format mainly on your input. So, and this is also an invitation to you all to give your feedback at the end. So you will get the opportunity to give ample feedback, and we take that seriously and we use it.
It really matters.
It matters, and the changes that maybe those who are regular visitors of the conference, if you see some small tweaks and in comparison to last year, that will be tweaks that are based also on the input we got from the audience and from the participants.
In that sense, we also experiment a lot, and sometimes we have a theme, sometimes we don't have it, sometimes we introduce some things like late night performances, then if we see that it works or it doesn't work in some ways, we change that a little, and we are always very open to also your suggestions and also to the new and sometimes crazy ideas of our working group members who are there very eager to always keep the conference vibrant and changing. So this year we introduced a few themes, which it doesn't mean that your proposals had to be very much about those topics, and you probably see that the program is very varied and everybody comes with their own topics. However, the themes will be particularly relevant for an open space discussion, of which slightly later. But in general, the themes of this year of EPARM 2025 are the following. So, artistic research that draws on or brings into new relationships different musical fields, such as, for example, electroacoustic music and early music, or contexts such as, for example, academic and health contexts and many other issues. Then there's the ethics of artistic practice and artistic research, for instance, viewing them as sources of ethical decision-making. Then how artistic research relates to artistic agency, whether individual or collective, in different settings. And then the practical and ethical considerations around artistic research that is co-created with other researchers, artists, audiences, or the wider public. So as you can see, ethics is kind of a key word this year, and probably we'll talk about that more during these days.
Yeah, well, let's go to the program itself then. What can you expect? If you look at the content of the program, you could say there are three main ingredients content-wise. First of all, and I already referred to it, the role of the hosting institution is really crucial. So there is always an important role, especially in the opening and closing sessions, for work and performance and research of the hosting institution. And that will be central also today in the first sessions. Then, of course, the main body of the conference consists of what we call delegate contributions, so the results of the call for proposals. And there we make a distinction between two formats. We have the parallel sessions, and on the other hand, we have the research performances. And this is meant to allow for also diverse perspectives on how to disseminate artistic research. So the parallel sessions are what you could call the more traditional academic format, where somebody can present outcomes in 20 minutes with some time for questions afterwards. But then we also have these research performances, and we also tweaked that a bit in comparison to last year. Not only the title, but also the duration was slightly different, I remember. So the research performances are meant to give the possibility to researchers to use the artistic practice itself as a tool for dissemination. So that means that the performance is really central there. But next to that, it allows also for some contextualization, probably verbal or in another way, to give context to the presentation itself. So those two formats are making up for the main body of the conference. But next to that, there are also sessions to inspire discussion and debate. We will have the keynote today. There will be a roundtable tomorrow, tomorrow. There is also the open space you refer to. And these are, but that is at the same time also a more informal session.
Yes, and we would like to draw your attention also to those informal ways to collaborate, to network, to get to know each other. And there are many opportunities for discussion among the participants during the event. So the already mentioned open space, of which Stephen Broad will tell you later when the open space is taking place, but it will be based on themed discussions around the topics of the conference. Then, of course, dinner and coffee breaks, they are the most important part of every conference, as everybody knows, and these are the opportunities to really just talk and learn about your colleagues. There are other opportunities to share your own work and to update on the ongoing projects and so on. So for that, there will be information forum, and then there is the Artemis safe space. And also, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that there is a quiet room when you really get tired of everybody. I've used that in Ljubljana, I loved it. So please, in the ground floor, you will find a quiet room. But now, how to keep track of all this? We don't have the printed program, but we have an app, Swapcard, and maybe Beatrice could tell us a couple of things about it, how to use it.
Thank you, Lina. Thank you, Paul. Well, first of all, I have a question for you. Just raise your hand if you have downloaded the app already. Okay. So those that have raised your hand, you made my day already. Thanks a lot. But for those who didn't, you can do better, but no worries. Because there are these nice QR codes. Don't worry if you cannot use them right now. They are printed around the facilities, but I just want to show you a little bit how it looks like in the desktop app, but you can also use it in your mobile phone, of course. So, well, this is my profile, actually. You can see here the program. If you click in the sessions, you will see here the abstract, yes, the speakers, and then the attendees that have selected this session as in their program. Okay, then we have the attendees and the speakers are actually working the same. So, oops, sorry. Okay, Nikita, can you maybe give me a hand here? Okay, thank you. So basically you can, or you should be able to. Okay, no? Just back to the app, please. Mm-hmm. Okay, there. Okay, thank you. Yes, I will manage this now. Okay, so you can actually look for the attendees depending on their institutions or countries or cities, so you can filter them. And you also have the community, so there are different feeds, let's say, about different topics. You can just check the information and then, of course, write your contribution there. For example, we have the article sharing, missing topic in case you think that someone does something, is not reflected here, and then some other information about, for example, museums here in Tallinn, some nice restaurants and bars or coffees that you can check. And yes, that will be pretty much it. So I hope you use the app because it's really very informative. And if there are any changes, this is the most updated place where you can check. As I said, if something is missing, if you spot something, just let us know and we will change it immediately. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. So, kind of to conclude.
Yeah, to conclude, well, maybe very briefly, we will not start discussions on artistic research at this conference. Well, you can in the coffee breaks, but it will not be so much part of the roundtables or the other discussion sessions. But of course, one of the difficult things, especially when it comes to when we explain artistic research to newcomers, is to define artistic research in a very concise way. And we are aware that there are different visions, different perspectives on what artistic research can be, should be, could be. And therefore, on the website of the EPARM working group, we don't have a definition, but a statement that supports a pluralistic vision of artistic research, recognizing different possible definitions, methods, and forms of dissemination. There is one thing, however, that we should agree about, and that is that in this type of research and this type of conferences, we have one thing in common, and that is the role of the artistic practice itself that should be central to the research. So the artistic practice is not only an object, like a musicological object of research, it is also a tool to gain new insights. And that's also why we expect that presentations at EPARM include or at least refer to performance or the presentation of original work.
Yes, well, the things that you see on this slide are more or less summarizing the same things that Paul already has said, that we see things in a very pluralistic perspective. We take this approach of diversity and inclusion. And well, this is just mainly to say, be kind in everything you do here and everything you say here, and especially to the early career researchers, probably to those who are for the first time presenting their findings and their research at the EPARM. Be kind to the working group members. We'll try to do better in case something doesn't work. And now, I guess the most important things, whether you have some thoughts or questions or remarks before the event begins, because in a couple of minutes we will start with the projects of the hosting institution of the Estonian Academy of Music and Theatre. So if you have some questions at the moment, or if somebody has to add something to what we said, just please, we have a couple of minutes now. And we have the microphones.
I don't see any hands.
No. Well, then it means everybody is ready to begin. And let the EPARM 2025 begin. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.